Mount Okefamo, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, for Liberia. From Monday to Sunday, it's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information. Entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. And with me are the brains of Liberia. And I've always told you the best and the brightest are right here on Focus on Liberia's On Point. On Sunday, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, you are going to have basically a week in review. Everything that happened from last Sunday to today, we are going to delve into that. We have broken them into a few groups. As usual, this administration and Liberia is a potpourri. It's a Chinese buffet. Actually, this one is not even Chinese buffet. To us, in Chinese, yeah, I think we call DC people in Liberia Chinese. Yeah, so it's a Chinese buffet. You can get anything you want out of this administration. We have it, and we are going now. We were able to break it down into 4 parts. 4. And we're going to talk about number 1. Before I introduce my folks, I'm so excited about these topics. Number 1 is after 5 months of Joseph Boyka and Mr. Kuhn, finally they have published their assets. We are going to look at what asset declaration and publication looks like. Are you buying it? Do you know what it looks like? Are they trying to pull a quick one? We are going to look at that. Number 2, there's something called the yellow machine. I don't know why they call it yellow machine, but they say it is in town. Before it came out, they said it was just a concept. It was just an idea. Nobody was going to purchase. This is what the Minister of Information said, that there were no such arrangement. It was an ideal. And that if it were going to be purchased, it were going to go through the proper channel. All of a sudden, people are saying that the yellow machines are here. Now, let's look at number 3 here. 5 months into Joseph Boyka's administration, where are we? We want to talk about all the promises made. 100 days, there will be no car stuck on the road. There will be transparency. There will be audits. Where are we with these? We're happy to the asset recovery. We are going to discuss all of these. And finally, the future of the War and Economic Crime Court. You know, I was on here and I have said it, that the War and Economic Crime Court is a fly. I said it before, and I'm saying it again, there will be no War and Economic Crime Court, period. Now, while Ellen is alive, now while most of the players are still here, if you have anything that resembles War and Economic Crime Court, it will not be what you are thinking. And I think Mr. Molu made clear. So, ladies and gentlemen, with me today is my co-host, the longest-serving co-host, Mr. Jimmy Eastman. Mr. Eastman, how are you doing from the nation's capital?
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Gaiman. It's a privilege being here. We have many interesting things to discuss, and I look forward to it.
Great. And from Houston, do we have a problem in Houston? We have Mr. Tower. Mr. Tower, you are the son of Halliburton, Dick Cheney's son. How you doing there, sir?
I'm doing fine. Houston is good. The weather is really good today. We have overcast, so it's not as hot. Yesterday it was almost 105.
Ooh,
So we are doing good.
thank you. Mr. Elvis, man from 10,000 Lakes, the state of 10,000 Lakes.
You
How
can
you
see
doing
it
there,
was
young
one.
man?
I'm doing well. I don't know the guys having over 100-degree weather. We better hit 80 on this side. But it's nice weather today, so I'm happy to be on the show. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Gay, we are going all the way to Grand Judith, the city of Chin, represented here. Mr. an IT man. Thank you for being on, Mr. Gay. How you doing there, sir? And where are you today? Are you in Philadelphia or are you in Colorado?
No, I'm Joe Biden's nephew today. I'm in Delaware.
Oh, he's in Delaware. Say hi to Costa. Go ahead, sir.
So we are the one, hit with the heat wave. Yesterday was 106 maximum. It went to 106 yesterday. Today is circulating around 101, 102 when I was en route to work. I was just outside with 104. It went down again, so it's kind of in between. So we get the heat wave here. Unfortunately, people from Texas are not receiving it. That so accustomed to it. This is something new on this side.
Great. I'm in the state of Florida. As you know, it's supposed to be hot over here, but we got a cool 84 degrees. It should be going down to 74, which is great. Mr. Padmore, we got you guys are the only folks on here from one state, the state of 10,000 Lakes. We got two representatives here, and both of them from different side of the divide. How you doing there, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Great.
Glad
We
to
want
be
to
here
we,
as
we,
usual.
we want to thank you for producing our show. Thank you for the technical work. You didn't eat your CWA money, so that's good. We are glad you didn't eat your money. Gentlemen, we have topics here. We want to be able to cover all of our topics, so we want to stick on point, maybe 3 minutes, 20, 25 minutes most on each of the topics. I'm hoping that the Waka representative Unity Party, Mr. Aliu Kamara, will be here. He had promised he was going to be here. But like we have always said, like Mr. Jah has always said, government had to defend, government had to defend, especially when the government is not doing well. Mr. Kamara that used to be here every day, quoting the Constitution, the bylaws, when Liberia was funded, who funded Liberia, all the way to John Kizell. He can't show up anymore, but we're going to do the best we can. Mr. Eastman, let me start with you. With
Yeah.
number one here, Jeremiah Cone and the presidency. We are here. What did you see today? Something called asset declaration. What is this? Finally,
Well, they finally made it public. Um, Vice President Kuhn declared his assets all since February. But now the president and vice president have come forward, challenging critics that they were not as transparent as they claimed it would be. And interesting enough, it is apparent that Vice President Kuhn is a millionaire. Looking at his total assets, coming to about 6,838,000 Liberian US dollars. And if you subtract his debt from there, 1 million plus, he still has over $5 million. So we can see, but we're not surprised. We know that Vice President Kuhn was a businessman prior to entering the presidential race. And we know that he was also chairman of the Ways and Means Committee in the Senate. So he has he has used his skills wisely, and he's a very wealthy man. Now, what is alarming is when you examine President Buakai's assets. We noted that there were not any major investment in his beloved Lofa, and that was kind of curious for somebody who claims to be an agricultural expert. hailing from the breadbasket of Lofa County, with all that amount of land available to him, it was surprising that he doesn't have as much as an investment. We wondered if he left maybe his farms that he has there or certain things. It didn't appear to be that much. I think he's a little bit under a million, just shy of $1 million in total, and it didn't reveal the kind of investment we expected him to have made over 42 years in government. But we must commend them to say this is a step toward transparency. And I think they need to enact a clause that if they're going to declare their assets, they might as well make it public. There's absolutely no need for them to declare their assets and they keep it hidden. Why are we doing that? I think it's good that they make it public because it also provides those who verify these assets. It gives them a chance to ask the public about them as well. So we've seen one good thing, and we need to commend it. And so I think it's a positive. It's a move in the right direction.
Great. Mr. Padmore, I have been part of what they call asset declaration because when you declare your assets, there have to be some instrument by which we can verify that this man say he owns this house. We can go to the county website and see the price of the house when the house was bought, the liability, how much you owe, what's remaining down. We can see all of these things. Some people are saying when Amara Corner came, he listed some astronomical number like 30 million or something like that. And people say this is a straw man. This is how you set up people to steal. So
Nah, I'm Musa Ability.
no, I'm talking about Conant too. I'm not talking about Musa Ability alone. I'm talking about Conant. Conant said he listed a house in Pennsylvania that was worth about $3 million. And folks are saying this is how they are setting up these straw men so down come when they steal, you can't hold them to it. Mr. Padmore, what you make about this asset where we nobody can verify whether it is true or it's not true, especially the vice president who said he was poor. He was living on loan.
That I believe that was one of the most surprising things for somebody who declared that he was living on loans, for somebody who declared that he was living in a small little house since 1947, to see that he has all this money and cash on hand it's extremely puzzling. So it begs the question: did he lie? Did he play on the Liberian people's sentiment so that they could feel sorry for him and elect him president? Or, did he actually not have money? And if that's the case, then where is this money coming from? This is one of the reasons why it was expedient that President Boeka declared his assets on day one. We all know how these things go. Okay? Monies have been dispersed. Deals have been crossed. How do we know when this money entered the account? How do we know all that? We saw the now Minister of State for Presidential Affairs have the power and the influence to instruct the NASCORP to release almost $500,000. And just when he wasn't even, the inauguration hadn't even happened yet. And so this is where we find ourselves. But concerning this, I believe it's a day late and a dollar short. It shows nothing. It proves nothing. We almost had to rip this away from Joseph Boeka. People have been on his case for 5 months, insisting, demanding that he just be responsible, a responsible adult. Let be a man of your word. Nobody begged Joseph Boeka to say these things. He went on VOA and said, I will. Be a man of your word and follow through with what you say. And for 5 months, we've had to beat on Joseph Boyka for him to finally release this. And then people are celebrating him as if it's something that he did with his willing heart. No, this was not something done willingly. Joseph Boyka understood that until he was going to release this, they were not going to get off his back. And so he finally gave in and to the people and relented. That's about it. So it's nothing to celebrate about. It just shows us that if we have to spend 5 months beating on the president just to be a man of his word, what happens to the other things that we have that he promised? What happened to transparency? What happened to accountability? It just tells us that we are in for a long haul because this man is not going to be truthful. He's not going to be honest. He's not going to be a man of his word.
Thank you. Mr. Towell, I know you have forewarned us that listen, there will be no changes, there will be nothing new, there will be business as usual. In fact, it's going to get worse. So it looked like you did Notre Dame on this particular program. You forecast this. Joseph Boyka talked about accountability, transparency, the rule of law. The first law he broke was the law says you have to declare your assets prior to coming into office. This is it. 6 months into his administration before he's providing anything. Your take.
Yeah. So the problem that we are having is that things are so bad in Liberia and the standard is so low that people tend to want to celebrate everything, even if it is wrong. And the Liberian way is that, oh, my man, just leave it up to God. Because just like Patmo said, and that is the thing I would say here, Boyka or President Boyka, whoever waiting, and I criticize Judge Weah, the former president, about this. Once you have to wait, look, I've been living now for a while, and I've been involved in a lot of different business and monetary transactions. Once there is a delay, once there is an excuse, there is an intent, hidden agenda, something that is as plain as declaring your asset. If 5 months, we are talking about maybe up to 50, 60 million have been disbursed through different means and avenues that cannot be accounted for, that no record can be given for. And then you come and you declare your asset. It has no value. It has no means. And it doesn't matter. It don't mean anything because too much money have been moved out of the system before you're declaring your asset. So like they say, I don't know much about the Vice President Jeremiah Cohn. They say he's a businessman. But we hear all of this stuff all the time. People are businessmen. What did Jeremiah Cohn declare his asset before he entered the Senate or became a representative in government? No. So then he entered government and then he declares his asset now. He $6 million. What is his source of that income? Is there any proof that it came from the businesses that he ran before he entered politics?
He used to sell plane. He used to sell plane.
And nail.
He used to sell plane.
He used to sell plane.
He used to sell plane and nail.
Plane.
$3 million.
Yeah. So these are some of the things. So the asset declaration don't mean anything. And in fact, you see, the thing here is that the law itself, there is a problem with it. How can you tell people that they can declare their asset, but they are not forced to make it public? If you don't make it public and you say you declare it, then that's so push. Then what is there? It's of no significance. I can say I declare it, and that's it. The fact that there is a delay for 5 months, you're talking about half a year on money, like up to 50, 60 million have been removed from the country with no accountability, honor, all kinds of shadow means. A lot of money have been stolen already. So the asset declaration don't mean anything. What we should be focused on is that all of this money that will move in whatever way, the role, the asset recovery team, that some money without budgeting, when oversight will move in there, all of this stuff, they retreat, all these things, they need to be investigated. That is what we should know where the money involved went. But the asset declaration have it's nothing. It's too late. The intent, I don't know. It has no bearing at this moment. Seriously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Celebrate.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gay, 2 minutes. Here we are.
About 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Mr. Tower says he has a point. We got $22 million went missing. We got $650,000 for inauguration. We got, money all over the place. Asset declaration, the law said before you get into office, these people waited. Almost $100 million is gone. $41 million were requested to start the government. It was seed money. They got that money. And here we are now. Everybody come out of the woo where we need numbers. Go ahead, Mr. My brother.
Yeah, somebody's phone was kind of giving a background feed.
That's Alio. Alio came here.
Can you mute your phone, please, if you don't mind? I have the headset that's kind of irritating. Thanks.
Please mute him. Let me see if I can mute Alio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, take him off the screen.
Yeah. I think it's good now. It's went away.
There you go. I told you that one.
So yeah, like the previous two speakers, I need to take a different, stop on that part because myself, I was not celebrating it after 5 months. But something caught my attention on the line item where it says annual gross income. Annual gross income. The president put 93,000 and change. The president's salary is 93,000 and change per month. So annual gross income is not $93,000. It's $1 million plus. So that caught my attention. Now,
where did you get per month? Where did you get that? Yeah, where did you get that?
It's on the sheet.
All of those things are annual. Meaning yearly income. That was his personal yearly income. Before, that was his personal yearly income that he had for investments and other things.
Okay, a personal yearly income, not on the job, because the estimation that they're making now is that he has now received, at the time he declares asset, he has now received a salary as a president. However, they said, what's the name? The position is the president of the Republic of Liberia, right? And the salary of the president of Republic of Liberia should be the one that now your pension that you're receiving, because it's the position. I think we can have that debate. But Elvis, let me make my point, right? We can have that debate. So my confusion is you place on the asset of declaration your position as the president of the Republic of Liberia, but then the income does not commensurate with the income of the president of the Republic of Liberia. But referring back to your income when you were, not president of the Republic of Liberia, as a retired person receiving your pension, which was the 13,000 and change, right? So there is the place that I'm not an accountant, and I can be corrected on this one, but I'm a little confused on that as to how that was placed there, because the position you currently hold is the presidency. So I thought the presidency annual salary is supposed to be on the paper instead of the retirement money that you're receiving.
It has to reflect your last year earnings, not your future earnings.
Well,
that's not true.
But it's not a future earning; it's a current earning, right? So let me get to this. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? If you get hired today, they give you something called an employment letter. That employment letter states your salary. What are the hourly rates you get? That hourly rate is multiplied by 40 and multiplied by 52 weeks, in a year. That's how you know your annual salary, right?
Anthony, I said it's things that you have in your possession.
You don't do justice to a conversation when you do that, brother. I understand you want to come in, and I respect that, but I have a concern, and I'm using my 3 minutes to state out my concern out there. So the thing here is, if the position that he holds right now is the president of the Republic of Liberia, then the salary, the yearly annual income should reflect that. Because they didn't say vice president, because on the sheet they also had the vice president, the previous job, and you say vice president, and the salary is also listed there. So previous job, before this job, was the vice president, and they have that salary there. So the current job is the president, but they don't have the president's salary there. So that's my concern. So if we have an accountant that can help me understand that.
Mr. Kamara, you just come in, so I will lay this on you. I'll let Mr. I will let Elvin close on this. Mr. Kamara,
Yes.
the president said in his platform that he was a man of the rule of law, accountability, transparency. And he said, my first 100 days, there will be no car stuck in the mud. And he said, trust me, I mean it. Rule of law, accountability.
Well, said that already.
These are things that he said he campaigned on. Mr. Kamara, a man who believes in the rule of law, the law said you have to declare your assets prior to coming to office. And he said not only will he declare, but everybody that works with him will declare their assets. Mr. Kamara, where are we with Mr. Joseph Boakai, the rule of law, and all of these things that he promised us?
So I will try to dog your political intentions, but let me just look. Marco Palmer, to be honest with you, man, look, we're just pulling your leg. You're doing a wonderful job here. You're carrying this show. And the way you come up with the topics is unique. I mean, you normally just hang yourself, so you're not doing anything bad. It was just a joke on that platform, to tell you the truth. Look. There was no 22 million missing. There were no 500,000 missing or used. None of that. No 100 million have been missing, Mr. Gilman, to tell you that. And I don't want to spend too much time on the asset thing, because asset, the word asset, I think everybody here should know what asset means. Asset is not the same as income. Income is something that is coming in. Asset is what you already have, what you already own. It is the value of anything owned with an ED at the end. Joseph Boakai, whatchamacall, his asset thing on the 29th of January. He had not owned any salary as president of Liberia. The vice president did his in February. He had already had a paid check. There are lots of mistakes on that form. Ironically, you guys don't see the mistake. The thing that is not a mistake at all is what you focus on. Just define the word asset and you wouldn't waste your time. I say, I'm going to die of rule of law, moral, this, I'm going to all that. Go to the next person.
Mr. Morris, I know, Mr. Morris, one of the things you said during the campaign was, Mr. Gaiman, I support the president, but I am bracing myself for the eventuality of President Boakai being elected. And you listed some of those things that he said. The platform said rule of law, accountability, no business as usual, 100 days, blah, 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 blah. We are here, and everything has been totally false.
Look, Mr. Gaiman, it's great to be on the show tonight, and I'll try to be the voice of reason on this topic tonight. Big kudos to the president and the vice president for publishing the assets. 1-0 is better than 0-0. George Weah didn't do it. Ellen didn't do it. Charles didn't do it. None of them did it. So the fact that this president has done it and declared, and we can see some semblance of his property owned, is a big plus. Now, when we get into the minutia of it, we can criticize, like Mr. Eastman took my talking point. The reality, he didn't put any asset that he owns in Lofa County, not even a home in Lofa County, which is just, it's almost suspicious that you from Lofa, you will not build anything in your own home county, let alone your own, in your village or in the place you're born in Wasonga. But in that same vein, to juxtapose with Jeremiah Point, he did a lot of investment in Ganta. In Nima County, he have most of his properties are all in my county. So kudos to him. He's investing back into his people and into his county. Those who say he's from the southeast, he's from Salo, he have zero asset or anything in Salo. Not even a zinc shot to go there to later in a park village when he goes, visit Dorothea. So forget about that one for Salo. But one of the things that caught my eye, somebody pointed in the comment, the American said he turned his hospital over to the government. But he listed it as an asset worth over $2 million on his declaration. Well, is he loaning it to the government? Did he quote unquote turn it over to the government? That's why words are important, because the government does not own that hospital. He just pretty much allowed him to use it and to fuel the hospital pretty much, so that it become a government, asset temporarily, so that he can get free fuel and other medicine and things from the government. But he still owns the premises, he still owns the building, owns the land. It's his asset. And he listed that on it. He has another asset in Congo Town worth over 800,000, I think 820,000, which I think is going to be a big investment. I think he's doing like a large apartment complex there or something. So these guys are telling you, what they own, and it's kudos. The important part of this whole declaration is not what we see now. It's the exit declaration when they're leaving office after 6 years. That's the important part. That's when most people tend to deflate their assets. Because now when they're doing things, clandestinely, they tend to put in their children's name, or, like Putin, when they were putting sexual, a lot of these guys put things in their wives and their children's name. So you have to, we need to check what other assets they have in their underage children's names or in their wives' names and other things like that. That should be required, because that's a way of laundering and hiding money also by putting it in family members' name. But overall, I must give them kudos. They've done it. We couldn't do it in 6 years. They did it. So we must commend them for that. So everything else, we can talk on the details. But the idea is, after 5 months, we did it. After 6 years, Josh, we didn't publish it. So that would be my take on it for that.
Great, thank you. Now let's go to the next topic here, and I will begin with Mr. Padmore. Mr. Padmore, let's go to the yellow machines here. I don't know why they call it yellow machine, but maybe they're yellow. I know they usually have a brand like Caterpillar and all of that, but they call this one yellow machine. So let's look at they say finally, we don't know, but they say the yellow machine has arrived. Why is it true? What do you think is actually going on? Because the Waka government, the government that is good, a government that came for transparency and the rule of law, the information minister, Mr. Jerolinko Pia, came out and said, whatever you saw, whatever you heard was a lie. It was only a concept. No machine has been purchased. There is no memorandum of understanding. There is no machine in the work coming to this country. It will be done the right way. Procurement, access, everything you're talking about. And today we are seeing all over the place, United Partisans are posting that a yellow machine has arrived. If this is so, Mr. Padmore, what is your take on this?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look, we all are old enough to have experienced Liberia, at least to a certain degree. If something such as 285 earth-moving machines are being brought into the country to change the landscape totally, put roads where roads never were, better roads where they are right now, make it consistent whether rainy or dry season. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? That for me, that is what are you hiding? Something so good, something so glorious. What are you hiding? What the secret say about? Where you get it from? Who you got it from? What was the negotiation done? Who do we owe? How much do we owe? How long we got to pay them? How are we going to work these machines? Who are going to support these machines? Just basically, while all of us can celebrate this good thing that is happening in Liberia with good information. One of the things that the seditions, members of CDC, as they lost the elections, one of the things they always look back on, they said, we didn't take advantage of the media space to provide the information of the good things we're doing in the country. This new government account, secret. Today I woke up, I see buses coming through Nima. So all of a sudden, Nima is a major import point. Buses for NTA are coming through the Nima border instead of through Freeport. I'm like, okay, where are the buses coming from? Then all of a sudden, I listened to Minister of Information, Jeremiah Pia. He basically shunned Senator Amar Kone for asking, what is going on? Where are these machines coming from? Where is the information behind this machine? He stated very clearly in a press briefing that Thursday that this was only a concept. This was only an idea. It was May 28th. May 28th. And he tried to put the senator in his place and said, look, before we consummate, that was the word he used, before we consummate any negotiation, we'll put it through the right channels and we'll inform the Liberian people before we do such. May 28th, less than 1 month later, the yellow machines, the earth-moving machines are at the Freeport. How long does it take to ship? All this is that while Jeremiah Pia was standing and telling a bold-faced lie to the Liberian people, these things were being loaded onto ships.
Mr. Pamo, have you independently verified that it's actually at the port right now?
Yes. Somebody from the port sent me a video.
Not
285. It's
No,
not
that's 285.
It's
said,
about
I got
far
few
less
there,
than that.
but less than 100.
they said the first
Right
100
now,
came in.
at the port, yellow machines, trucks, at the port right now, with Joseph Boyka's sticker on it. Yes.
And photos on it, yep.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Mr. Kamara, let me go to you because I know you are itching to say something here. Mr. Kamara, in the Republic of Liberia, there are laws, there are procurement agencies, there are people who are in charge of buying equipment and going through the processes, the PCC procedure. All of these things have not happened. For the transparent and rule of law government that you represent, Mr. Kamara, what is going on here?
Is it Mr. Oh my God, Mr. Gilman? At my age now, almost 50. I don't like to be
Come
playing.
on,
I think you're recent.
Mr. Kamara, man, come on. Why you keep? You don't know your
You don't look a day over 55.
You don't like you almost 50, man.
Mr. Kamara, you don't know when you were born, so it's right. Go ahead, man.
Let me tell you the difference between me and you. I was born in hospital. But anyway, let me tell you.
I'll give you a record.
Let me talk.
Mr. Kamara, you come on here deliberately to waste our time. I've been knowing you for 30 years. You always been 49. Go ahead.
Let me tell you. They got three people finger on the mute button when I'm down. It's not Palmer that came in and not Eastman. The soldiers waiting to mute me. But let me tell you, all of this thing about yellow machine came in. We heard of yellow machine coming in. I've contacted one or so people. They haven't given me some of the information that I'm hearing on social media. All right, what I'm hearing is different, and as it stands, I have not much to say. I would consider this to be speculation. The yellow machine, how they keep me, whether it was previous procurement that was already funded by previous budget, I'll let you ponder on that. But what I will tell you is, as it stands right now, is speculation, and when I have the details, I'll be willing to get into that conversation.
Is there a reason why this government cannot provide the information for the Liberian people?
Yes.
Not you. But
the government has work to do. You see, when you elect government, you elect the government to provide basic social services, and road happens to be one of those things. If every needle or pin that the government brings, they have to have a whole tete-a-tete with the nation. That's problem. They have work to do. They're busy. And I'm not saying that they should not inform you, but you cannot demand that they inform you at your time. In due time, they will inform you. Just be patient.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Tower.
My man, they need to make you information minister.
No, that man is a draconian. He's a military man.
Okay.
He's not ready for
No,
democracy.
Mr. Kamara, get misled the public though. Anything of that statue,
The man have no
more than
idea.
10 equipment, it
Mr.
has
Gay,
to go through the PPCC.
this
We
man
don't
has
even know how many equipment in the
this
book.
man has
We
no
don't
idea
know
what's
anything.
going on. Mr. Tower, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you see everything that we're talking about. Mr. Kamara was on this program a couple of weeks ago when this yellow machine's talking about. He actually echoed the same thing that the popular minister or whoever that I know Apia that echo that this was just a concept, that it was just something that they were showing at that place. Now he's saying yellow machine came in, we don't know how much. Now that it has shown up, you see this? So he's trying to defend something that he doesn't even understand. The problem that we are having with these things is
So they are defender. Yeah. I say, well, I get a
look
detail.
at what happened. The problem that we are having when people have the intention to be dishonest, then they don't see the need to be open. Whenever there is secrecy, look, I've dealt with a lot of people, business people, and in the business world, and private people. And in Liberia, there is something. Anybody that I'm dealing with personally, the moment they start saying, "Oh, you don't trust me," I stop the business immediately. I stop everything because I don't operate based on trust. I operate based on the actual information. Everything is open and everything is there. So that is what the government is saying. Trust us, and that's what Kamara is trying to say. We should get trust. He is saying that if the government is going to go ahead and use millions of dollars of the country's money, they shouldn't inform us on anything. The question is, who do we have a contract with? Is it loan? Is it grant? How is Liberia constantly going into debt? From Ellen Johnson Sirleaf time to George Weah time to this present government, you will always hear that the IMF and the World Bank gave Liberia $40 million. So you will always hear gave. They used that, gave. And I started screaming. Honor Ellington said, no bank is anywhere that is giving anybody money. This is loan. And people argue me down. Ellen come out of office, we owe almost $1 billion. Hi, hey, where did they come from? I thought World Bank, IMF, and European Union, and China Union were giving us money. Then how do we owe all this money? So this is the same thing that we are seeing. And in all of these concessions, I will end with this. When John Magufuli came to power in Tanzania, Tanzania was in a mess. So he made an assessment, and IMF and World Bank and whichever Paris Club, they were all lined up to give loan. He made 2 assessments: concession and foreign travel. You know what he did? He took over the 2 places, placed it in his office. Nothing happened unless he signed on it. Within his first 5 years, he was able to generate almost $7 billion and did more than the country experienced in almost 30 years. The reason I'm making this point is when they come to concession and foreign travel, those are 2 major areas where there is a lot of criminal dealings. Both internal and external interests are lying in those areas. So when you see that they can't tell you where the machine is coming from, who they are talking to, who got the concession for the road, or who's building this hospital, that's why you're seeing that. There is a lot of area there where kickbacks and people are making money. Because like Padmo said, why can't we all celebrate this? You are bringing this in. The country is in deplorable condition when it comes to road. Why can't you just announce it? This is what it is. It's open. We are all happy that road is going to go everywhere. But they can't say it because of all of the underhand stuff that is going on.
Thank you.
That's just it.
Good. Mr. Gay. No, let me come to Mr. Elvis, and you're going to close out on this. Mr. Elvis, this whole thing about transparency, rule of law, these are the things that are the pillars of democracy. This man said these were the things that there would be no business as usual. In fact, he said the reason that these people were so behind, they were doing these things, it was because the Liberian people took a grown man's job and gave it to young folks. When he comes in, there will be no business as usual. Mr. Morris, I have never seen anything like this.
No, Mr. Grimmy, I would take the same line as, or I would take a similar line like Mr. Kamara. I saw it on Facebook from Karishma Pelham Rad, I think that's her name, you know, boasting and beating her chest. I saw some pictures, but again, I haven't verified. I don't see any of the big network or even front page or the Liberia Observer publishing it that these machines are actually in the country. Now, Mr. Pablo said he can verify. Mr. Gay is saying a similar thing, but until it can be verified nationally that these machines are actually in the country and they in fact belong to the Republic of Liberia, then this is going to be a big fiasco because, of course, they didn't go through the PPCC like we said earlier. And after public outcry, they insisted and they brought this machine into the country anyway. That would be going down the same line that we've been saying that this president is lawless. But as far as it is right now, I can't say that he is on this issue because it has not been verified that the government actually owns these machines and if they're in fact indeed in the country right now. Another thing I want to say, this is maybe like a breaking news, but it's kind of an embarrassing story. And people are talking about buses coming through Nima. There's a situation going on in Ghana right now.
Yep.
The Ghanaian, there's buses that's been rebranded with Liberia MTA or the NTA, the National Transit Authority, on it with the red, white, and blue. And the people are saying, but these were our buses that we used to transport people public transportation. Why are these buses being rebranded and sent and being told that they're going to be sending it to Liberia? So maybe these are some of the clandestine meetings that Jeremiah Cohen and Mr. Boyka went to go, break some new deals in Ghana. And people are making fun of these buses that they're old buses. And this is where we stay in the pecking order. Ghana are getting new buses as being reported for the public transportation. They're even building a railroad system while we're getting the 8-year-old buses into our country. But when I look at it, I don't take offense to it because the reality is, if you are a poor person and you're going to buy a car and somebody tells you, I got my old car, I just bought a new car, give me 5,000 for it, it's still a car will get you from point A to point B. But many Liberians say we should be buying new buses and we're on that level. We're not on that level. We're in that sub-region, we are way down in the pecking order. So if other people are letting us buy their second-hand vehicles for a reasonable deal, we should take it. We need a more robust public transportation, and if that's the case, then of course, Liberia should buy it, but this whole thing that they're buying it in a clandestine way that people are accusing the Ghanaian government of selling them without the public knowing about it, that's the problem I have. But I think it's good. These guys are trying to do a lot of things too fast, and they're rushing. They're not doing it the right way. There are procedures and processes that you have to follow when you want to procure things for your government, and they're not doing it in that way. So if the president have this big grandiose idea about public transportation and fixing the roads and things like that, you're the president. You have the bully pulpit. You have the influence. You can do it the right way, and you can gain from it politically. And your government will be looked at in a better light. But don't do it under the table. Don't do it by trying to skirt or circumvent certain laws that we have on the books. So overall, I say when this come out 100% that is in the country and is verified, then I will have some anger towards the president for not doing it the right way. But so far, I can't verify it, so I can't speak too much more.
Mr. Eastman.
Yeah.
You are being indicted on this form. You were one of those in particular that was stressing experienced experts, people who are in the know, people who are capable, an educated class, people with experience in management, in all of these things. That was Liberia Panacea. That's what you said on the show. While you were not endorsing the government, you were not disgracing the previous government, you have been consistent that what Liberia needs are experienced, educated experts. And most people said that was the Achilles heel of the weird government, that when this group of guys come in, all of those mistakes will not be made. And here we are, the so-called educated class, the experience, the expert. Grace made 76 years of being government all his life. They brought in Mr. Minor. He's 82 years old. You are bringing all these folks. And here we are. Mr. Kamara here, 49 or 94 years old. I think he forgot the number. Flip backward. He says here that Liberia be a benevolent dictator. That's what he said, Mr. Eastman.
Yes, yes, everything you just said is correct. I did say we need expertise in running things and making certain decisions. And when I saw the Buakai government were to come in, I was hoping that they would institute a well-structured bureaucracy. In a well-structured bureaucracy, you have the proper hierarchy of authority. In other words, everybody knows who to answer to, and it doesn't bypass. You don't bypass one channel before you go to the other. You have specialization and division of labor. Everybody knows what they are supposed to do and stay confined to their specific specialization. You have formal rules and procedures outlined so people know what to follow. You have impersonality. Things cannot be achieved because it's on a personal basis. It should be achieved because this is what we're supposed to do. I mean, we can go into documentation and record keeping. We can go into professional management, but we expected this. And the way this is done, you do the waterfall effect. You start the policies up and let them flow to the different organizations, the different ministries, and tell them these are the rules that they have to follow, starting from the minister down. But what we're seeing today, the minister doesn't know about those yellow machines. He's clueless. So we hear it coming from the minister of state, but was the public works minister involved? Was the finance minister involved? It looks like they haven't instituted this bureaucracy that I'm talking about, that things go in order. And if they're going to do it this way, they will have all kinds of problems. First of all, there's going to be accountability problems. They're going to be tracking issues. And just what I think Mr. Morris just said, to make a good decision, there's nothing wrong with procuring these things. But do you have the right people involved in making the expenditures? Liberia has bought an airplane, a 707 airplane, when we sold the 737 during those time. They bought a 707. Those days I was working with Air Liberia. And that 707, when it landed in Liberia, it never flew again. It never flew again.
I remember that story.
That's the kind of procurement we make. So what was it? It's clear that they spent this money. Somebody got a payday, and they knew very well that plane was not flight worthy. And they just took Liberian government money and ate it. So we know that these things are good, but if you don't have the right people making the right assessments, we will get little for our money, and we're already behind. So I'm a little bit disappointed. I expected, because I know a lot of those guys on that team, they do have the professional expertise, but they have to be led. You have to have leadership and make sure that people are going to follow the policies that you implement. So, and that's I see if they don't get a grip over, it's not late, but that is one thing they're going to have to get a grip over.
Thank you.
Mr. Gimmick, can I say something real quick for like a minute?
Yeah, please. So we'll move on.
Yeah, you know, what Mr. Eastman said, like the question you asked him, man. Mr. Eastman have a very strong point. In any system, just look at the world, the countries that are advancing and they are moving. They need their most experienced people, and they need their most educated in terms of specialized people and experts in their areas. So that is actually, we should not shun away from that. The problem that we're having in Liberia, which was the question that we're kind of discussing behind the scene, throwing around before that Mr. Gay raised, and I think I raised that point here. Patriotism. What that really means is there is no commitment. So our problem is not whether you, because I keep hearing that we should bring people from the diaspora, the experts, on an early time. These were so-called experts from all over the place that were working in, I knew most of them that work in areas, guys that, but when they got there, guess what? There was no commitment to the country. So they went in there to just grab. I went in and I walked into one in the office and I said, my man, we all struggled during the war. We were dodging bullets on Dupo Road. Me and you would be sitting in class in car mission, a bomb is dropping. Your name is all over. I see the thing, say, what's the problem? He sat for a long time and he had his head down and then he lifted his head. He said, my man, he said, Logo, we don't know how long we're going to be here. So you just try, everybody try to grab as much as it can grab, as fast as it can grab it.
Great. Thank you. It's beautiful.
So
Mr.
that's
Gay.
our problem.
Mr. Gay. Yeah, please. We got to go to the next topic. Your take.
Absolutely, I agree with most of it, but I want to agree more with Elvis. The buses coming from Ghana, I watched it before it even got to Liberia. I watched it on a Ghanaian platform. A blogger actually played a video where they showed the original bus color and then to the current color it has. The buses right now in Liberia still has the Ghanaian plate on it. The license plate from Ghana still on the buses in Liberia. Even some people took a picture of the buses. They posted on their own personal Facebook pages, celebrating the buses. I don't mind where the bus is from, as long as it goes through the proper channel. Look, we don't need brand new buses, given our road condition in Liberia right now. Once the buses are in good driving conditions and they can function well, no problem. Just my only contention is, are they following the proper channel? Are they going through the LAC, the PPCC procedure? Right? We have laws on the book. We have ways of doing things. This administration, they are good at propaganda, but they are not good at PR. This is something that everybody wants in the country. We want our country to move forward. We want, if you work on the road and you're bringing buses that will facilitate transportation for the people, nobody want to ride bike from Ganta all the way to Sano. Nobody want to do that. So, but do it the right way. Do it in the way that everybody will celebrate you and celebrate. The country will come together and applaud your work, right? We're not in a business to come on air every time to bash the president or to bash the administration. But the thing here is, are you doing it the right way? Look, when I saw those dump trucks, the white trucks with the president picture, are we in campaign mode? This is not the president's property, right? We said CDC did it yesterday, so why are you doing it now? Right? They said we are project, everything was we are project back then. We are project. Now the guy, President Joseph Yuma Barker, road project, they have photo on these trucks. I mean, video coming from Liberia. And the people telling, oh, I'm standing so and so place. Yes, they think the machine here, I'm standing here with the video. And it's all in the different group chats, right? So my thing here is, you want to do it, do the work. We would celebrate you. We'll commend you for your work. But you can't say Bureaucracy project. This is not Bureaucracy project, right? This is the Liberian government money being spent. Now, we don't know how much these things going to cost the country. So every loan, like the 2016, 2017 national budget, when they were not doing annual budget, they were going in between years, there were $142 million in that budget as a loan. $142 million in the national budget as a loan. Like Mr. Tawo said, they never mentioned as a loan. They say, oh, the IMF gave us this money. That was never a gift. That loan also has a term payment of 70 years. 70 years term payment to pay back $142 million in 70 years. That's a bad loan term right there. All right? So again, these things, we have people in government that's supposed to be the eye of the people, and they're signing documents. Just like E2 and Iboma, they're ratifying within 48 hours, and that became a horse. It didn't go nowhere. That was
I'm
a
telling you,
little.
what makes that loan payment a bad loan payment for the country is a good loan payment for the amount of years. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so loan terms, I'm not a financial expert, but a little bookkeeping accounting I did, I can tell you. When you have a term that is that long over the time period, it accumulates more interest and you pay back more money. That's a simple example I can give you there, right? So $142 million at that payment range, that's a lot of money you're going to be paying
What's
over
the
time,
interest on the loan?
Thank you.
right? So, but
Yeah,
let me end with this.
Len, go ahead.
So, with the machines in the country, the timeline from when the minister said that, oh, it was just a presentation, it was just a concept, to the time the machine
Well,
arrived in the
talk.
country, the time the machine arrived in the country, for this kind of heavy equipment, I mean, that's not jets that were bringing these things, that ship, that cargo ship, it don't move that fast, all right? The timeline too short. So that means this equipment were already on the ship coming to Liberia when they did that presentation. But because of the public outcry, they try to quiet the people down and just flip it in that way. Look, we wish this government well. The country deserves better. We are way behind. Way behind. All in the entire region, we are behind. So when this government will do anything that will bring the country forward, we all commend it. I don't have to be a supporter of the president, but to commend his work, we'll commend it because we want Liberia. I don't want to be on back from Ganta all the way to the southeast. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, that's the reason why we are saying these things we're saying.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Patmore, you close up on this and then take on number 4 here. After you close on this here, actually number 3, close on this and then tell us where you think we are with this administration. You got to give your take on the reason that some of us been in this business for so long. The reason you go through the proper procedure when you're buying car, now they have something called fax check, right? We want to know whether their car is roadworthy, whether our citizens' lives are on the line, whether these buses were actually inspected, if they were used in Ghana, and Ghana doesn't want them anymore. Why are they giving it to us? At what cost? Who's paying for it? What's the maintenance plan? Is it roadworthy for our folks? All of these questions, this is why you go through the actual process. Mr. Patmore.
Look, this brings me back to Eton Ibamoff. Okay? Like you were saying, you make these things public. Because when they are public, then people can give their 1-2 cents. And in that 1-2 cents, you have the ability to use those questions, those criticisms, those concerns to further clarify that this is a good deal. When we started asking questions about Ito and Ibamoff, we were able to realize that no, this, as much as we need this money, it is not the best deal for Liberia. But when you hide things, no, we know how Liberia works, man. Look, somebody get this gonna correct 10% from the machine. Come on now. Somebody getting a cut, kick back 10% on the machines. They will take half of that money for themselves. The other half, they will take it to close certain people. The Minister of State, on there. Minister of Public Works, what they want. I'm begging you, no spacing. Let it go through, we'll get our money. The paper already now say, we're not here for a long time. Within 1 year, you will reshuffle. Then 1 year, what we'll get? You, when you take your own, that you don't want to be looking stupid in the end. That's how it's looking. So right now, everybody whispering in the paper ear, Papi, I get 50 buses in Ghana. I can bring it home. Yeah, bring the bus. Papi, I get 30 hole and digger in that what's happening right now. Everybody getting their cut. The sad part is that we have to, and our children have to pay for this tomorrow. This is the sad part. Because these things are not free. You know, they are not free. Show us the paper and say, oh, we got these machines. Here is the procurement. Here's the interest we got to pay. Yeah, this one we got to pay it. If we miss a payment, here's the default clause. Nothing. Some other thing will start with 7%. But it will tell you if you miss 2 payments, it automatically goes to 22%. But by that time, today, will be dead and gone. That you and I will be working with it. No, the serious thing.
For 70 years, yes. Nobody will be here 70 years.
No, I'll be here. No, I will be here. Our children and our children will be dealing with this. How do we expect for them to progress the country when we not tie them down with these things? How do we do that? But that's why I end. Let's go on to the last one, please.
Yes, you take us to number 3 here. 5 months into the Worker administration, now where are we? Your own assessment, honestly, fair.
Wow. Look. So let's recalibrate, right? We have seen audits upon audits being announced. We haven't seen one result yet. We haven't seen anyone taken to court yet. We barely got to self-worker asset declaration. Nothing has come from the inauguration debacle. Harmonization is still strong. That was a weird policy. This government is living on a weird policy. This government is holding Liberia down with a weird policy, harmonization. They detested harmonization. They belittle harmonization. They bedevil harmonization. Today, it is harmonization they are holding to carry Liberia day by day and to make payments. So before these people talk, they need to tell President Weah, thank you. Thank you for harmonization. Else, we're not even going to be able to bring our people in and add them to government to just boost the whole thing. But we see nothing. Agriculture, nothing. No plan. Anybody has heard a plan for agriculture? Nothing. The only thing the president has done, he put together a rice committee so that we can have more access to imported rice. That's it. Now, one hole, one digger, one shovel has been put in the ground. 5 months. 5 months. Nothing agriculture. What's that? Rule of law. The same thing. People now shooting themselves in the head 4 or 5 times again. The same thing we talked about before. The King George stuff where the people lost their lives. Nobody has been brought to justice. Nobody. Sanitation, moral means dirty, nasty. No system. There's no approach to it. Every 2-3 weeks, the resident mayor will get together with a few people together and go and sweep the street and act like he's doing something. Come on, dude. This is 2024. This is 2024. What system are you putting in place to keep the sanitation of the capital city in control? So there's nothing. There is nothing. All your students are out of office, are out of school. The reason why government students, because right now is break. They are on break. August is coming. That will be a whole different thing. Let me not take too much time, but I see nothing from this government at all.
Great. Mr. Eastman, real quick before we go to our final one here, because we want to leave a little time for the folks to call. If there's anybody in line to call, let us know so we'll bring up Mr. Eastman here. Where are we now, 6 months into this administration? We talk about the arrests, agriculture, rule of law, accountability, all of those things that are agriculture, you name it. Where are we now as far as the platform is concerned?
There's a lot being hidden, I believe, from us because we're not hearing enough of the plans they have. At this stage, let's be honest about this. At this stage, what you do when you take over is you start doing your studies, your feasibility studies, determining what plans are you going to put in place that are going to be effective. So now we're supposed to start hearing about the plans they're going to put in place to implement. That's how you would do it if you have a professional way of looking. I know my brother Tao, yeah, he can verify with me. You first have to figure out what you're going to do, what is going to work best, and then you come up with a plan. Then you by next year you're ready to start implementing your plans. But we have not heard enough of that, and it seems there's a lot of it's not coordinated, and so definitely President Buckeye will have to get all these organizations well coordinated. Like I said, he has to have a properly structured bureaucracy for this thing is going to work, especially Liberia. And when I say especially Liberia, because we know things have been out of order since the collapse of after the war of our economy. To bring things in order has been challenging. Ellen did her own. We are trying to keep the boat sail. Now it's up to Buckeye to start bringing things to more professional, more orderly fashion. And he will have to exercise control. Now, this is where we thought this is going to require a lot of effort, a lot of midnight hours. If people don't realize, but Ellen used to work up until 2, 3 in the morning. It's a lot of work, and it's going to put strain and effort in his body. So he's got a lot of work to look forward to, and unless he's going to have a guru or ultimate person to help him do this while he's taking his rest, we haven't seen nothing going on yet, and by next year this time, and if it's still the same, then we can start concluding that nothing's going to happen in the 6 years.
Great. Mr. Morris, like we said, it is very difficult to defend government. As you can see, Mr. Kamara couldn't stand it. He left already because it is just tough. So here we are. Folks are saying the president said within the first 90 days, you're going to see immediate improvement because we are people of experience and integrity, and we'll follow the script. Here we are, 6 months into this. There is no roadmap. In fact, the roadmap that is put in place by the legislature, the rule of law, Liberian law, they have decided to bypass everything that is the structure they put together by the Constitution. And they're doing their own thing. Where are we, Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. Look, Mr. Eastman made a great point, and I'll pick it back up that point in just a second. But let me say this. So far, I see baby steps in the right direction. And that's the issue, baby steps. No giant leaps, no, regular footsteps in the right direction.
Could you name some of those steps in the right direction legally?
Yes, of course. Establishing the office, of the for the Walk-on Court, getting an ombudsman, and a few other things that they've done right, in the first few months in office. But like you were saying, they said they were going to hit the ground running, and they haven't done that. Their 100-day plan was only like 10% fulfilled. So they've been lacking a lot. And this is the reason, this is what I'm going to pinpoint it to, and this is where Mr. Eastman points come into play. When you have a stent in your heart, or you have a pacemaker, one of the things that they tell you, I'm no doctor or medical practitioner, but you have to take it easy. You have to have very little stress, things that will not raise your heartbeat, things that will not raise your blood pressure. You got to be very, very light in terms of working. Most people that get these things, usually they don't go back to do physical labor or any kind of labor-intensive work. Being a president is going to raise your blood pressure. The amount of work, the amount of thinking you have to do on a daily basis is, it's astronomical. So the reality is our president is working at a limited pace. So our government is not going to be on a fast track to do anything. That's why you're seeing everything is moving at a snail's pace. So the reality is you hire a man who we told you was almost an octogenarian and was going to have limitations when it comes to, mobility, both physically and in terms of his mental agility. He can lead a country that needs a powerhouse, a person, a person with intellect, who is a powerhouse intellect. If you can govern purely based on your own capacity, President Barker, form a council, form a governance council, like Mr. Eastman was saying, form a brain trust. Some of the smartest and brightest minds, bring them together, let them do the hard work for you, and then you make the final decision. But he wants to be that typical Liberian president. When in fact you can't be that because your age won't permit you to be that typical Liberian president who knows everything that's going on, who can help formulate policies, who can be on top of his ministers and make sure that his plans and the policy are being formulated. You don't have the capacity to do that both physically and mentally at this stage in his life. That's why things are moving so slowly, and that's why we were apprehensive about people, rallying for President Boyka because we knew he didn't have the capacity to do that. So this is why things are moving so slow, and it's going to continue to move slow. Things that were supposed to take them a year, it's probably going to take them a year and a half or even 2 years to accomplish because the president is not going to be on top of it. And those guys who are getting paid a regular salary, they're not going to go to the president. Oh, Mr. President, we got to boost this thing up. But we got 6 years. Things are going kind of slow. You got to step up. It's almost like an insult to the president. You're kind of telling him that he's too slow. So, Mr. Eastman, you hit that nail, and I think that was a salient point, and I want to harp on that because the reality is this is a symptoms. These are the symptoms of having an older president. His pace and his decision making is going to be a lot slower. He's not going to understand that time is of an essence when it comes to governance, and things are going to move a lot slower. In 6 years' time, we'll probably accomplish 3 years worth of accomplishment that could have been accomplished in 6 years. And that's one of the downsides of having President Boyka as our president. I'll leave it there.
Mr. Tao, you take number 5, the future of the War and Economic Crime Court. You can comment real quick on the previous topic, but then you start with the future of the War and Economic Crime Court after the appointment of the new executive director. And it looks like there is a forceful, I'm talking about forceful kickback against the appointment of this Mr. Massaquoi. There is a lot of backsplash, so you name it, whatever it is, from every sector in Liberia. Your turn, sir.
Yeah. So to just touch quickly on the previous stuff before I move on to the next one. Isn't this what Mr. Booty said here? Isn't this what Mr. Simon Freeman said? That the president lacked capacity for him to be able to rule. Everybody came down on him because he's not talking positive. And that is the thing in Liberia. We want to have progress, but we would like to be lied to or would like to lie. But Booty said that Dr. Booty said that the president is selfish. Just like what you, Mr. Morris, said here, which we already know. The president knew that he didn't have the capacity physically. Like you said, that the job is demanding. So then why did he decide to run? Just for him to accomplish something personal at the expense of the entire future of the country. That's where we are. So it's the same thing about being patriotic and actually having a country at heart. We lack that in Liberia. It's a major problem. You see? But going to the War and Economic Crime Court. Look, I was a victim in that war, like everybody else. We struggled through the war. As a teenager, we walked almost 300-400 miles all over the place, not knowing where we're going. The reason that they appointed this guy, I don't even know this guy. But all this appointing this other person, what are they really supposed to do? I think a lot of this stuff is just smokescreen. Because look at what is happening here. The U.S. out of nowhere and the European cousins are pushing aggressively for this war crime court. Why didn't this thing happen immediately when the war ceased, when Eleanor was coming to power? When everything was fresh after World War III. But because Ellen being the mother of this particular war and being the darling child of the West, sponsored by IMF and World Bank, so they had to delay it. Anytime these guys make move, there is an agenda. While other frustrating after 20 years, they jump up, they're not ready to do all this stuff. It's not going nowhere. And the reason it's not going nowhere is this. Are you going to, I keep asking the question, are you going to dismantle the government? Because all of the people that are major or perpetrators in this war, they're deeply embedded in government. What are you going to do? Arrest them and dismantle the government? How are you going to do that? You're going to plunge this country into a crisis. So I'm looking at it from this background that I'm saying it's going to be impossible. So all this stuff, first they did executive order, then they're appointing this. All this stuff is fiasco. It's just going to be there. It's never really going to happen. It's going to be distraction. It's going to be talking point. It's not going to happen. They're going to face all kinds of internal pushback and stuff. Each time this thing comes out, they only talk about Prince Johnson. But Prince Johnson alone is not the person. Prince Johnson is just there. There is George Bullitt. There is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. There is all of these guys. Yeke Kolba, all these people. Edwin Snow. All these guys were implicated in some form. So how are they going to really do it? The same people that are benefited from the war in some form are the ones that are running the government. These are the same guys that, whether it's the US, whether it's China, whether it's Japan, they're cutting deals with and they're doing something and selling the country. How are they going to do it? I have said that the TRC report was a document that they were going to use to constantly leverage and pressure any government that come in if they want a government to bend a certain way. And then when the government bend enough, then they die down. And I think that is what this is. It's like a screw. They're going to twist and turn it whenever they want and they choose to.
Great. Mr. Padmore,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. We're reading the comment. We're posting some of your comments. If you have calls you want to partake, please call the numbers. Can we post the numbers so the folks can call?
Sure.
Mr. Padmore,
Yes.
the War and Economic Crime Court. We have discussed it ad nauseum, but we will not stop because it is very critical and important because most of our folks, ladies and gentlemen, before I move forward, you can call the number 605-313-6004 and the code is 791403 dash and what?
That's it.
Hash. That's it.
Just hash.
Okay. The War and Economic Crime Court President, a few weeks ago, Mr. Molu, President Bwaka's confidant said this whole thing is a fiasco, it's a small screen, it's never going to happen. Joseph Bwaka was doing it because he wanted to come to the United States. There will be no War and Economic Crime Court. And I have said it here, if anything you're going to see, it's going to be everything but what you and I look for when it comes to War and Economic Crime Court. What do you see now that Joseph Bwaka has appointed someone who is representing how can you have one person represent the criminal? He's the prosecutor and he's the judge at the same time, and he's the defender of the criminal against the victim. Mr. Padmore, this is
That's not true, Mr. Gary. Don't say that. He's not a prosecutor, not a judge.
Well, but obviously he is the executive director of this group. He determines what case goes to the justice ministry or goes to that court to be prosecuted. So this is what we are talking about. He's conflicted, Mr. Padmore.
So this is one of the things that saddens me. How long did it take for us to find this out? And these people have 5 months to vet this guy. 5 months. We found these things up in hours. Just a matter of hours, we found this out. You could have even just leaked it out. Oh, the president is looking at massacre to hear this. That information is going to come out. It's going to come out. And then the president just go with somebody else. He didn't have to nominate this guy, But then again, this is where we are. You have a president that is not in full control. They got people in that remote controlling him. So they tell him, oh, that guy is the right guy for the job, papi. Then he get there now, then open can of worms. If you represented Agnes Taylor, pray, God, tell me, why should you lead this? Why should you hear? You should. I mean, no, we need somebody who had nothing to do with any party at all. Any individual. We are 5 million strong. You tell me you can't find one person to do this? So now you have contaminated the pool. How do we move forward? They did the same thing with asset recovery. They rush instead of looking at competence, instead of taking time, to vet people. They were looking for a partisan job. They were looking to hire people, places to plug holes, and the chemo asset recovery team has totally fallen apart. And it don't seem to be learning. But then again, I guess you can't teach old dog new trick. So here we are. Here we are.
Mr. Our torso and torso commander in chief.
Yeah.
Mr. Eastman.
How you know that you don't know about?
I know, Babu, you know, soon as say the ugly person need to go to them.
If we hang over, why are you talking about me? The gentleman that was appointed, when this whole thing started, the reason why most people think this thing is a fiasco is that the likes of Jerome Verdier, these are folks who have put their neck on the line, have done everything, and thought Joseph Boakai coming to power will bring them into the fold, and this will bring in the windfall of the money and the largesses that accompanied that particular position. And people were looking at different people that they thought would bring some gravitas to this position. Instead, Joseph Boakai had in his back pocket someone that he knows, conflicted. He knows this. This man is the lawyer for Mrs. Taylor. He is in court for suing people in Liberia for $50 million US. And the case is in court. He's representing these people. Jibril, all of these folks that are hardened criminals, to the point where the UK government said they do not want Agnes back into the UK. They deny her asylum request because they form ample evidence of human rights abuses. And here,
the one in the UK right now is again, she living it.
Well, she was not granted, based on what we read, she was not granted asylum and the citizenship she was looking for because the UK government found ample evidence of abuse. Mr. Eastman, then you take that person and make that person the fulcrum for this. And now the likes of Stewart, Massa Washington, all the legal luminaries in Liberia are now opposing this and saying this is basically a straw man that Joseph Boakai has set up, knowing that it's going to fall apart and this thing is going nowhere.
Okay, so this is I think one of the panelists already said they had five months to vet this man already. And if they've come to the conclusion that this man will be best suited, I don't have enough information on him, on his biases and where he's been representing and proposing it over the years. But if they have decided that this man is their choice, they should come to the public and tell us why this man is the best choice. The information minister or the press secretary, after there's been such a brouhaha and an upheaval, everybody is saying, why this man? Come to the people and lay your case. This is why we elected this man, and this is our decision, and we're standing by it. I am very concerned of this wishy-washy way of governing. If you're going to make a choice, not because the people, if Liberian people will complain about all kinds of stuff, okay? They didn't want that justice minister. They didn't want Crow to be the justice minister. They didn't want this. They didn't want that. You can't be controlled by the echoes of the crowd. because a lot of times the crowd is going in the wrong direction. You have to take the lead. You have to take us to a new direction to correct things. And the crowd sentiment is not going to be your guidance. Your guidance should be inner compass and God above. So why is this happening repeatedly? I want to see them come to us and tell us this is our choice, and these are the reasons why we chose this man over anyone else. And we are sticking by their decision. We have to be, the government has to be assertive. They can't be controlled by all these different bodies and whims and pop groups. It's not going to go anywhere. It'll be a ship without a sail. It'll be like you lost your rudder and you're just going to be going in circles. So whether this decision it was the best, I'd want to see them stick by it, and I want them to see them justify it. It happened with the defense minister. We saw what happened. And with that, there was massive. In fact, that was over the top, because we had road blockades. I want to say this was a slight insurrection, but I don't know. They didn't take it that far. But these things are going to occur. So they need to come up with a method of selecting people that will, just like Pompadmo said, maybe they should have leaked it to the public a little bit and see what the feedback is. But they need to stop this putting somebody there, then they take them back. They have to stop that. That is not characteristic of a firm government. That's my take.
Great.
Mr. Gimman.
Mr. Taiwo, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I just 2 points, something that Mr. Padmo said, and then a point that Mr. Eastman pointed out. One of the things that Mr. Padmo said, we all throw it around, but it's something for us to look at. I think it's misleading. We are not a nation of 5 million people. We are not. Mr. Morris on this platform, he may be young for him to remember this, but from the time that I was very young, from kindergarten at Carver and all through, were 2.5 million, right? Then we had a war that allegedly, because we use that term, killed 350,000 people, displaced another maybe almost 1 million. Then by 2006, 2007, we're 5 million. How in the heck did it happen? Did we reproduce by 1 million every year at that point? So the reason I'm saying this,
because you didn't do it, because you didn't do it, me, other people didn't do it.
Yeah, so they throw these numbers around, and these numbers came from so-called UN. And then what was the next one? I was in the war. I was walking. We're all over the place. By like that December of 90 to like January 1991 February, a number was thrown out. 250 to 350,000 people were killed in the war. How did they do that? Well, there was census conducted in the midst of that war to come up with that number. So, but the reason I'm pointing this out, these are the little information, because this is how they manipulate and they throw things. Because you see, if you can throw this kind of thing, people just believe in it, regurgitate it, and repeat it. You can actually slip a lot of stuff in, because you're supposed to be UN. You're supposed to.
No, only I just for 30 seconds. It was my time to talk on this stuff.
So like that.
Okay.
So how many now, Mr. Tao?
Mr. Padmo.
We don't know.
Mr. Padmo, if we have any.
We don't know.
Mr. Padmo,
Man, that sensor was bogus.
If any call, let us know. Mr. Morris, say something to save face here. Waka got to save face. It's rough here. Say something.
Why you not pin me as a Boyka supporter?
No,
you leaving Boyka today?
No, not that. But
I'm just being fair.
Ali is not here. You gotta help. Say something. Why?
No, I'm gonna be critical because
get in his mind. Why would you think?
I'm gonna be critical. I'm gonna be in my own mind here. Look, the reality is the fact that they took this guy from being justice minister put him in arguably a more sensitive position as the executive for this court. In my layman rudimentary understanding of what this person's job description he is to formulate the mechanism for the court. He has set the scope, meaning how far back, what crimes are they going to prosecute. And my biggest gripe with this is that this is a defense lawyer, not a prosecutor. Most people who become judges are prosecutors, former prosecutors. You barely ever see defense attorneys becoming, judges. It can happen, but it's rare. So this guy, who many people have said does not have the legal pedigree in Liberia, he's not a trailblazing lawyer when it comes to prosecutorial law, even in his field of defense law, that you will pick him. And this is the second time you've selected him for such a high-profile position in the government. Some people are speculating it's because he's close with Fonati Kofa, works at Fonati Kofa law firm, and the president. Some relationship is there. That's all speculation. But my point here is, why this guy, who many people can attest not being the very best lawyer in his field, you're putting him in such a sensitive position, let alone you're giving him the ability to set up a prosecutorial court without he himself being a prosecutor. How does he know the ropes on what is needed for successful prosecutions? So the fact that you put this guy in such a sensitive position without him having the requisite experience in that particular field, of law, tells me that you may not be taking this as seriously as we hoped. And then lastly, the fact that this guy represented as a defense attorney some people who were implicated in the war, again, is their right to counsel, and is his right to accept them if he felt like they were innocent. But even the appearance of impropriety, especially when it comes to such a sensitive topic, you want somebody who is absolutely neutral, has no, appearance of impropriety with any of the plaintiff or defendants that will be in a case, and you pick this guy. That's why I think Mr. Eastman or Mr. Pamo said it. Vetting is important. You have to vet these people, thoroughly. Especially the more sensitive the situation is, the more carefully you have to vet them. So our president didn't do his due diligence. He said the former commissioners was on the platform last night, stating their reservation about him. I'm sure other people have certain reservations about him too. But he's already in that office, and he's going to be the one telling the international community what we want from the court, what the scope of this court is going to be, and so on and so forth. And I think it's the wrong decision. Very wrong decision that he put this guy in there. Because many people feel like he's not impartial. He has association with people who are accused of being, taking part in the war. So President Barker keep making wrong decisions. He's a habitual maker of wrong decisions. I keep saying this. Is he thinking with his right mind? I hate to even question his mental faculties, but is he thinking with his right mind? Because it seems like almost every decision he makes is peculiar for some of us to understand it. So for me, I think thank God I live in America. I've even become more appreciative of living in the United States. Because even though we talk about these things, but none of these decisions are actually going to affect us directly. Maybe the Worldcom Court will affect some of us because most of us was, affected by the war. But I think I'm not living under President Boyka because some of these things will drive me crazy, especially if I'm as conscious as I am now and I was living in Liberia, I would be going crazy. Thank God for America. I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Mr. Gay, most people are trying to say Joseph Boyka did not vet. Joseph Boyka has no record. When you look at Mr. Francis Yimali, a man who admitted to killing people, and yes, you took him and gave him one of the most sensitive positions in the country. He's an interior minister. He's in charge of people who are supposed to be doing secret killings. Then here we are. You take someone.
That way.
Yeah, you take someone, you send him to the justice ministry, they kick him out of there, then you turn around and send him to labor of all places.
He in charge of the zones and the boyos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you take the man from justice, he was kicked out, then you send him to labor. Then the man turned around and hired all the kingsmen. And they say, oh, this man, that. So Joseph Boakai, here we are, a man who says we are going to bring the most competent people and they are not going to be misplaced. In fact, places where only 50 people should be working, Joe, we have 300 people working. We are going to set them down and we're going to cut them to size. Then he turned around, 50 names are sent from the party chair to the central bank, say, hire them, doesn't matter where they work, hire them. When they question him, he said, as the chair of my party, it's my job to look for work for my partisan. So this man does not have any record, any credibility when it comes to vetting. So are you surprised that he would take a man who is a lawyer defending the criminals to vet the criminals?
You know, I couldn't agree more with Morris. Look, I was nodding my head when he was speaking. You know, in circumstances like these, you want to find a legal mind that have that astute respect among his peers or his or her peers in the kind of circumstances. A person who, when you nominate, that everybody will say yes, you pick the best and the brightest among us. And there are plenty of Liberians, male or female, in that country who are capable of this position.
So, Mr. Gay, real quick,
Yeah.
they highly recommended Mr. Gonglo. Why you think he kicked him to the curve?
I'm not in a state of mind. I don't know. And Mr. Gomez was being, you know.
They said Gomez had to work with. He's had to work with literacy. That's their reservation.
Yeah, I think he's so truthful. You know, he's so straightforward. But here's the thing: you must have an individual, and Gonglo was going to be a perfect fit because he has the international and the domestic understanding of law, right? He's not an ordinary lawyer, right? So this is the thing: somebody with that kind of deep knowledge rooted in the business in that institution. Like Murray Reckless said, you can't bring a defense lawyer to be a prosecutor. The prosecutorial role is to defend the law, is to prosecute people of offending the law with no passion or partiality, right? And that's what the prosecutorial role is. And you must set the tone of the court, what the court going to be looking for, how they're going to conduct business, and all of the different things. So if you pick a guy who is already, in bed or have a tainted or questionable character for that role, it kind of defeats the purpose of the goal the country try to achieve here. The goal the country try to achieve here is that we have an ugly civil war that individual, according to the Geneva Convention, did things that are not are right, and it has to be held accountable for their actions, and that's the reason why this particular court is called for. We have not had that closure. Other countries did it immediately after the war. We did not do so, and today this is haunting our country. So to set the tone, you need to put individuals in that position that people will respect. But once you start appointing people and people start questioning, your appointment, there's nothing wrong with that. Pull that thing back and appoint another person. But then they're going to sit there and allow this guy, because almost everybody that went to the Liberian Center got confirmed. For some reason, they got confirmed. And I'm not too sure if this special prosecutor role is subject to confirmation.
No.
So if it's not subject to confirmation, then this is another problem, right? And that's the danger that we face. Look, we ought to do the right thing. We ought to make sure that we hold our people accountable. And that's one of the reasons why I talked about, the patriotism here. What does it mean to a Liberian person? What does it mean to be patriotic? Because it's not just carrying a Liberian passport. It's more to carrying a Liberian passport. It's more to saying, I am a Liberian.
Great, God. We got 10 minutes here, Mr. Padmore. You enter this, then we'll go to closing. Now, some people are saying here. Somebody text me that John Molu. Someone said John Molu might be right. Joseph Waka is deliberately sabotaging the success of this court by his action in appointing these kind of characters, because the person here said, Chris Smith, the hearing that was just held in Washington, D.C., were very critical about character, the integrity of the folks, because there were people who were found guilty now in France and Europe that they found that evidence were being cooked in Liberia, witnesses being coached to lie on other folks. So the U.S. Congress is even now even more critical of whether this is always possible. So he is saying here, this is an attempt to sabotage the court.
You know, Joseph Boakai has been in government for a long time. We've never heard Joseph Boakai talking about War Crimes Court. Joseph Boakai has never been an advocate for War Crimes Court. Whether he was vice president, whether when he was a private citizen, it didn't matter. Whether he worked for Judy Bryant government, Joseph Boakai has never been an advocate for War Crimes Court. Even from 1990, right, to 2003, we never heard Joseph Boakai speak against warlords. We never heard Joseph Boakai stand up for the Liberian people. We never heard Joseph Boakai stand up for justice. We were just sitting one day and we heard, oh, Ellen picked Joseph Boakai to be her running mate. And that was it. We never heard these things. This is not in his DNA. This is not part of him. Joseph Boakai did it because it was politically expedient. He wanted a certain group of people, so he said, if you vote for me, I will bring the War Crime Court. That's all this was. So he's not interested in the War Crimes Court. He's not interested. He doesn't care night or day if it happens or if it doesn't happen. It doesn't bother him at all. Few people, so like, you know what, there's a campaign promise. Let's do the bare minimum, pass it on to somebody else. Let it be that person trouble so we can focus on the money and how we'll bring the money. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. So the first person they brought to him, he said, yeah, let him go there. And now here they are. Just how we saw the asset recovery jet died, it's just how we're going to see this. Because the Americans and the international community are not going to work with somebody who once defended, associates of a warlord. They're not going to do it. And they were saying that message. You need to change that person. As long as you do not change that person, we're not going anywhere with this. And that's what's going to happen. And it'll be to his taste. Okay, we'll just sit down for the next year or so, like people forget about it. And then everything will just die, then we'll put it in the back. Whenever the top plenty, we'll just say, oh, they're both working. And then we'll move forward. He doesn't care. He's not interested. He's done what he said he was going to do, and he's finished with that.
Great. Mr. Taiwo, do your closing, address some of the issues. We got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Address any issue you want to address within the 2 minutes.
Yeah. So real quick, Boakai, President Boakai's, based on what Mr. Patmos said and what we know is like sabotaging the War Crime Court by the steps he's taking and the appointment he's making. I don't think it's by accident. It is deliberate because he has common sense when it comes to this to know that the War Crime Court is not possible in Liberia because of the delay that happened and the entrenchment of the players and the actors these are some of the most powerful people, most wealthy people. So it's not a mistake on the point of the Americans are not going to work with somebody that they know that's not the American will work with anybody as long as it serves their personal interest. Who is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? The guy only this guy represented only Agnes Taylor. He is far removed from the war than Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So or even Prince Johnson that they work with. Whenever it suits them, and when they see that it don't suit them, then they throw a red flag and then behind the scenes. So they have no credibility when it comes to that. They operate based on interest, and their interest not for the Liberian people. The sanctions, the removal of Charles Taylor had nothing to do with Liberia. It had nothing to do with the interest of the Liberian. If so, Edwin Snow was sanctioned, right? Benin Nayuru was sanctioned, right? Was this sanctioned? Was this sanctioned because they committed crimes against the Liberian people? If so, then what explanation did the American gave when they lifted the sanctions? Did they refund the money that he stole from the maritime? No. So these people operate, and there is nothing wrong with that. They would be a fool for them to try to put their own interest. We the one that have to learn that we should operate based on interest. That is how international arena work. Okay, so on that, but look, on the note, Mr. Eastman stressed something. He said that the Bouakai government need to grow a backbone, and I think they should. Why some of the appointments and some of the moves are wrong or misplaced? People demonstrate, people give objections, right? So it was the defense minister, people demonstrated, they pull them back. It was this, it was that. And then he made a statement that the crowd is over moving in the wrong direction anyway. That is a strong point. And that is the problem with the democracy that they gave us. It's misleading. It's called tyranny of the majority. The American founders, the debate that happened at that stuff, I read the whole thing. They knew. They call it, they labeled this the tyranny of the majority. They knew this. They're trying to leave it in the hands of the majority because majority rule don't mean it's right. It's actually usually wrong because the majority of the people are misinformed. So for that reason, they refuse to have the kind of democracy that they gave us. One man, one vote. No, they have a Republican form of government where it is not, you could win 2 million votes over the guy and the guy will still win. So they set up something called the Electoral College, which you know. So the Electoral College decide is not the majority. So when I keep saying here that we should look at the system that they gave us, it is not working and it would never work. It's not that I'm against the Americans or against the British. No, because some people tend to misconstrue that. They think I'm some kind of radical no, that is not it. But guys, we've been doing this. It's not working, and not just in Liberia. Look across the whole Africa where there is the so-called democracy. The place is in shambles. Look. So we need to look at this critically. Let us look at this and look at it, examine what is not working, remove it, tweak it.
Thank you.
Let it work for us.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gavin. Yeah, let me just say this. You know, the problems in our country was mostly caused by us. It should be mostly solved by us. And let's not deflect by trying to, switch the blame to any other country. Democracy is a tool for inclusivity. Make sure that people's voices are heard and their, representative represent their interests. If you want to form an entirely different form of governance that will work best for Liberia, we want to hear it. But the current forms of government that we know that is practiced in most of the, mostly throughout the world is either democracy, socialism in its pure form, or communism. And for most of us, we think democracy is the best form of government. If you want to formulate something that relates to us as a people, that will be best for us, we want to see it. We haven't seen it yet. So if you say that it's not in our interest, that's fine. But let me just say this to President Boyka. I made this plea to him before, but now I think he's incapable of heeding this plea because of his circumstances. When you look at his constitution, when I say constitution, I'm talking about his health. He is not somebody who is going to be running like Usain Bolt. He may have the desires, he may even have the plans in his mind, but physically and perhaps mentally, he's limited in terms of how well he can gesticulate in formulating and implementing these plans. So for me, I feel like we are in a bad state right now. Unless you had a capable vice president who can really do the heavy lifting, and we have a Jeremiah Cohn who himself, no offense to him, he's no scholar, he has no intellect, he's not somebody who can say that man is very, very smart. Well, we knew he was a businessman who got carried by Prince Johnson to political prominence. So when it comes to his mental acuity, we can't really say this is a guy who can run a country, who has the brains and the wherewithal to know how to compartmentalize things and run different sector of our country. He's not that guy, like the people say in America. So we have an old man who have slipped in capacity, and we have a young guy who perhaps hasn't built the capacity to lead us. So for us right now, it's almost a lose-lose situation. But again, I'm sorry for the Liberian people, but thank God I'm in America, and I don't have to deal with this nonsense of living under a incompetent government and people who don't have the capacity to properly lead us and transform our country. It's kind of a sad way to end it, but I'll leave it there. And we hope to see you guys next Sunday.
Thank you. Mr. Padmore.
Oh, so quickly. Wow. Yes. So I'll make this quick since we're a little over our time. Somebody, while we're discussing, somebody messaged me and asked me to say, what could Joseph Boyka do to impress me? And this will be my answer. And this is how we'll close. Joseph Boyka, if you truly want to impress the Liberian people,
quit.
Stop it. Resign. Ask for the resign.
If he truly wants to impress the Liberian people, publish all of your assets, declarations. The Code of Conduct was signed into play, if I'm not mistaken, January 2012. Okay? That means that Joseph Boyka should have declared his assets 2012. He should have also declared every 3 years after while in the position. That means 2015, he should have declared his assets. And the law also says upon leaving office, 2018, he should have declared his assets. If Joseph Boyka really wants to set a new dawn for Liberia when it comes to accountability and transparency, publish all your assets, 2012, 2015, 2018, so we can see the progression of your wealth, Chief. Let's see the progression of your wealth. Let's see it. Then and I'm sure millions of Liberians behind me will be truly impressed and will truly declare Liberia has seen a new dawn. Until then, Tabata, we're just playing phone yet.
Tabata.
Wow. Mr. Eastman, take us out.
Yes. We are always criticized on one of our ardent followers that we don't offer solutions, and I like to offer a solution for the Boyka administration. You need to come up with policies, and these policies you come up, you need to stick by them. They used to have I think it was Cincinnati team. They were trying to build a team up. And the coach used to always tell them, trust the process. Trust the process. Because you see, the process may seem like it's not working, but it's a system. And it will get you to the finish line. You have to have a process, procedures, things in plan. And just trust it and go by it. Eventually, you will get to the finish line. But we've been doing things very ad hoc for years. And if we continue to allow these ad hoc policies to persist, we're not going anywhere. It doesn't work that way. Progress you cannot develop when you have all kind of ad hoc processes. The Senate doing one thing, they're changing this, it's not going to work. We have to have a plan, processes, and we follow it. And that is how we're going to get somewhere. And until we have that, that's what my younger brother Morris said. I'm glad on this. I know I'm not happy to be here. I want to be home. But when we stop this helter-skelter ad hoc, doing this today, doing the other one tomorrow, anybody can get up and stop. When are we going to stop it? And only the president can do that for our country. He will be the first. And contrary to what Mr. Morris said, I believe that President Kuhn can do something. He has shown leadership in his business ventures, And I don't think he would be such a bad. I think he might be doing well. But whatever is the case, they need to concoct a board and policies and procedures and stick by and make the whole country go by it and stop this ad hoc way of delegating and conducting affairs. That's my take.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was in college, one of my professors, Dr. Michael Dukakis, says, every country in Africa has a plan, and they got some of the best written plans, better than the United States. So, but it was just that, a written plan. There is no plan for implementation. They don't implement anything. It is just a well-published, polished, glossy papers. When you walk in there, they tell you we have this plan, we have this policy, we have this policy. But we ask them, have you ever implemented any of it? They will tell you, not yet. So here we are. Liberia has a plan. We spend a lot of time on Ellen putting together a system. Say all you want to say about Ellen, she tried, she did some stuff. And it is there. When George Weah came, he tried, he followed some of those things, and this government supposed to take it to another level. Instead, we have gone back pre the war, something we have never seen. How can you run a country by dictates? And then the man come out here and tell us Liberia needs a benevolent dictator. You don't need to go through too many processes because it wastes too much time, too much bureaucracy. You want to buy a machine, just go and buy it. It will benefit the people. You want buses, go and get them. It will benefit. When the people ride, they will not complain. So now we are running the country like the people, you just say you run it by heart. We are running it through memory, rote learning, something that they told you don't do rote learning. Don't memorize everything when you walk in. So you stumble your toe, you forget everything.
Recitation, government.
So this is where we are. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for calling. Thank you very much for your comment. We listed some of those. Next Sunday, same time. Now we have our telephone system set up. You can call and say whatever you want to be a part of it. Mr. Padmo, thank you very much for producing the show. Thank you very much for all the work in the back. Mr. Eastman, thank you very much for some of the technical advice. Take us out of here, sir.
Labira is our home. Labira people, Labira.